All right, Kasey, let's move on to some interesting comments here from an American that's not with the team right now, but a pretty big part of the program. That's Sergiño Dest. Here's what he had to say about his time at Barcelona. Quote, "I wouldn't say regrets, because how it ended didn't depend on me, but I don't feel I had the necessary chances with Xavi," who, of course, was the manager at Barcelona at that time. "I felt like I had to play with limits. I want to join the attack, which is my biggest strength, but he asked me not to go forward." That's not all that Dest said. Quote, "I don't think he was honest with me either. In the summer of 23, before going on holiday, he told me, 'I am counting on you, don't read the press.' And as soon as I returned, he told me, 'You have to go.'" Kasey, is this anything more than a player being bitter about a former club?
I mean, there's nothing being,
something here?
If you're honest, what's there to be bitter about? You're just saying what happened. Now, I was always nervous for Sergiño when a Dutch manager brings in a Dutch player, although he has an American passport. But when that Dutch manager leaves, I was always really worried for Sergiño. And I don't know kind of what happened with Xavi and, was there a pressure to play more Spanish players? We know the financial circumstances, opportunity for him to leave. I guess in the end, what most players, when they look back upon it, if you're just honest with me and you sit me down and you say, "Look, Sergiño, you're not in my plans. Things change. Keep working hard. We'll see what happens." And then go into him and say, "Hey, look, I got to clear the books. I got to get rid of anybody who I can get rid of because we need to, fall under this financial situation, and we have some interest from you to go back to Holland, and we're going to have to take it." It
seemed to me like it was just a bad fit from jump. Obviously, he was not Xavi's guy.
Yes.
But if you're asking Sergiño Dest not to go forward, like if there's anything you're going to ask Sergiño Dest to do, it's to go forward, be that guy, be that attacking right back. And you would think that Barcelona would want that. Maybe Xavi was trying to be a little bit more pragmatic. If you remember when they won the league, it was a lot of it was down to defense.
A lot of it conceded like 14 goals or something.
Maybe you can't criticize the manager in that, but that's not what I would be asking Sergiño Dest to do if he was on my team.
And that was the problem, though, because he obviously needed a player in that position to play a particular way, and that's not Sergiño's way of playing. I used to say this to managers sometimes, or think about it when managers would buy a player. And I remember at a time when I knew somebody that bought a player and say, "Hey, I want you to kind of play more with your back to goal." And he's like, I'm 30 years old. I've never played like that in my career. If you wanted a player, why didn't you buy a player that plays that way?
I'm reminded of the time Ale's manager with Venezuela told him he was a wide midfielder and he'd never played that in his life.
And you're like, well, then put a wide midfielder.
Right.
So I understand that it was, a round player in a square position, and it didn't quite fit.
One of the other things that came out of this interview that was interesting is Dest talking about going back to La Liga, like kind of unfinished business. And it's not the first time. Whenever you hear him talk, there's this kind of confidence, arrogance, whatever you want to say, that he feels like he can get back.
Have
to
you ever played with Dutch players?
Top level, not like Sergiño Dest. I mean, but he's played for big clubs, right? Ajax, Barcelona, Milan on loan. And, obviously he's at PSV now on a permanent. But even in that time when he was like, well, what do you say at PSV? You could sense he wanted more. Is he actually good enough for more, or is PSV his level?
Well, you got to find out. And
what do you think?
There's always been a piece of his game where he has to become a better defender.
Okay.
Could
he be on a better club team than where he is now as a starter? Just on what he has today.
PSV's a big club, but you want to talk about
top 5 leagues
plus whatever.
Top 5 leagues. You're not convinced?
No. What I am is I need to see not 100% what Xavi was saying, but I need to see 50% of that. You still have to play players to their strengths. The rule number 1 of every pro: you work on your weaknesses, but you play to your strengths. And if his weaknesses was kind of team defending, And what is he? Is he an outside back?
He's a defender.
So, yes, I love an outside back that gets forward and does this, but he still needs to be able to defend when you're playing against an opponent that you need to defend. If you're at PSV in maybe against Feyenoord, maybe if Ajax kind of picks it up, you got to the rest of the time, it's a keep away game and you're flying forward.
Yeah.
But when you're at Barcelona and maybe you're playing against 6 different teams in the league, plus the odd team that can scare you, plus Champions League, I need you to do more than bomb forward. And I think I think he's talented enough to do it, but he has to figure that little piece of his game where, wait a minute, I'm a defender. How many times have you heard me rant about if any coach tells me the first thing about a goalkeeper is how good he is with his feet, I turn off.
So for you with a defender, it's the first thing is how good they are going forward.
How good he is going forward, I switch off.
All right, well, Sergiño Dest says he wants to go back to La Liga. La Liga is back on ESPN on Friday. That's right, the international break will end. Will end, we're told. The games start on Friday, Alaves against Real Valladolid, and Barcelona, they're in action on Sunday at home against Sevilla. That's a 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Don't miss it.